Alright, so we've completed our frame. We back up so we can look at it. Now what we're going to do is we are going to get started on working on the rope. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to the very center, and we are going to do basically a 90-degree angle from here and build up in this direction, and we're going to build it up by 2 units. Okay, so I'm coming out of one of these 4, so it's the center, so you have 5 units. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So no matter which direction you're coming from, it's the 3rd unit, and we're gonna just pick one of the 4 beads here, which will become your 6 o'clocks, and we will begin there. Okay, so I'm coming out of this one here. This is going to be where I'm going to build my first wall off of this 6 o'clock. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab 3 beads here. I'm going to go through my 6 o'clock. There we go. So we have our first wall. We're going to go ahead and reinforce that. Making sure I end up at 6. There we go. Then I move to the next 6 o'clock. Do the same thing. We're just building up a unit like we did before. So we've done this. Picked up 2 beads. I went through my 9 o'clock. Now I'm going to go through my 6 o'clock. So it's where I always end. Then I go ahead and reinforce. Just depends on which direction you're moving on that unit, whether or not you'll have 3 o'clock or 9 o'clock. And wind up going through my 6 o'clock the second time. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn this so I can start my 3rd wall and go through my 3rd 6 o'clock. Here I have 6 and 9 again, so I'm just going to pick up 2 beads, go through 9 o'clock. There we go. Go through 6 o'clock. Go through 3 o'clock. Whoops. Got out of frame there. Go through 9 o'clock. We're just reinforcing what we just put on there. And then just going through 6 o'clock to complete that stitch. Go. And then I just move to my last 6 o'clock right here. I have 3, 9, and 6, so I'm just going to need 12. So first I'll go through 3 o'clock. I pick up 12 and then go through 9 o'clock. And I go through 6 o'clock again. And then I just go ahead and I repeat that. There we go. There. Now we have our 4 walls on. I go up to the ceiling. And I go ahead, whoops, and reinforce the ceiling. Alright, so go ahead, build one more unit on top, meet me back here, and what we're going to do is we will go in a 90-degree angle both directions, so that way we can begin our rope. Alright, so we finished our frame. And we have our 2 units up here. So what I've done is I have my thread from both sides. I have one thread on one side, starting with the innermost one on the second unit. So here we have 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 9 o'clock for the second unit. And I have my thread coming out of the 9 o'clock. And on the opposite side, exactly the same thing. I have 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock for the second unit, and my thread is coming out. I'm sorry, let me do that again. So I have 9 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 6 o'clock, and I have my thread coming out of the 9 o'clock right here. Okay, so here's one unit, which is, you know, a part of it is part of the frame. So we got the one unit here, so 9 o'clock here is part of the frame. And then we have the second unit, which is connected to the first unit. And what we're going to do from the second unit, we'll do this on both sides. I'll show you how to do it on one side, and you'll do it on the other side. But what we're going to do is we're going to start creating our rope. So our rope will actually be part of the second unit. It'll just go through that second unit, okay? And by having the thread, you'll have one thread going in this direction here, and then you'll have the other going in this direction. So let's go ahead and gather up our material and let's get started. So I have it coming out of 9 o'clock here for this unit, and each of these 4 beads I'm going to treat as my 6 o'clock for this 90-degree turn, because that's all we're doing is a 90-degree turn going this way and a 90-degree turn going this way. So I am going to grab 3 beads. There we go. Let me get a little closer so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm grabbing 3 beads. I'm going to go through. I'll treat this as my 6 o'clock for the wall. There we go. So I have my first wall for that 90-degree turn. Yeah, see? You know, that 90-degree turn is a very versatile thing. You just have to, you know, it's really not hard. It's just a matter of feeling confident in what you're doing. And then we'll just go back through our original 6 o'clock for this wall. And there we go. There. Little tight there. Alright, so we got our first wall for that 90-degree turn. Now we just move over to our next 6 o'clock. I mean, we've done this before, right? We know what we're doing. So we'll grab 2 more beads, go through the 3 o'clock, do our little reinforcement. There we go. So now we have our second unit on. Alright, so I have 3 o'clock and 6 o'clock. So I'm going to grab 2 beads here and go through 3 o'clock. And then I'm going to take the time to reinforce that stitch by going through each of those beads. Alright, so I'm coming out of 6 o'clock for my final wall. I have 9 o'clock and 3 o'clock. So I'm just going to need to pick up 12 o'clock. So I'm going through 9 right now. I'm picking up 12. Then I'm coming over here going through 3. And then going through 6 o'clock. Then I'll just repeat for reinforcement. And there you go. Whoops, I'm not done yet. I still have to reinforce. Make sure I end up at 6 o'clock. There we go. So now I've completed the stitch. I just need to go to the ceiling. So I'm going through 9 o'clock because of the direction of my thread. I'm at the ceiling. There we go. And I'm just going to go around once. And I've completed this unit. Alright, so what you want to do now, you want to do the same thing on the opposite side. Now you can continue to go this way, but don't forget to go the other direction. And what you want to do is do about equal amounts. So you may want to go back and forth and be the judge about that and get it to the length that you want. Keep in mind we are going to be adding, so keep in mind about the length of your clasp. And you also want to take in consideration that we also are going to be doing, we're going to be adding 4mm pearl, and then we'll do this little loop here, and then we'll connect. And if you're using a split ring or a jump ring to connect to your clasp, keep that in mind as well. All of this will add length. So for me, from side to side, let's just back up here. I have about this much length to my necklace. So just keep that in mind. You'll be adding a little extra length once we do finish it off. So depending on how long you want it, you might want to take that in consideration. All right, and so meet me back here, get it to the length you want it for both sides, and we'll wrap this up. So go ahead, pick up a 4mm pearl and 9 11/0 rounds. Pick up, if you're going to be using a jump ring or a split ring, go ahead and pick that up. I like to put my magnet, my clasp on right away. It just makes things a lot easier, especially if you're using a split ring. Now if you're using a jump ring, it probably is easier to put it on later. And then I just slide that down. Now for this particular loop, I'm going to go through that very first 11/0 round, then my 4mm pearl. There we go. Just like that. Let's get a little closer. So I'm going through that, and that will create my little loop. Slide things down a bit. I'm coming out at 3 o'clock. So I'm going to go through the opposite side and go in and out through 9 o'clock. There we go. Then I'm just going to try to get this to sit a little bit more in the center. Things will work themselves out. Then I'm going to go through that pearl again and that very first 11/0 round. There we go. Then I'm going to go through the first two, so I've already gone through the first 11/0 round, so I'm going to go through the second and third 11/0 round. There we go. I'm going to pick up 11/0 Delica, then I'm going to go through 2 more 11/0 rounds. Then I'm just going to get this split ring out of my way so I don't accidentally catch it on the thread. So I want to make sure it can move on that loop without. Alright, and then I'm going to go ahead and pick up my second 11/0 Delica, go through 2 11/0 rounds. There we go. Then I pick up my third 11/0 Delica, and then I'm going to go through my last, so I'm going through that last 2 11/0 rounds, and then back through that very first 11/0 round and pearl. Alright, so now I'm going to pick one of my seed beads from that last right angle weave that doesn't have any thread coming in and out, and that would either be my 12 o'clock or 6 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead, go in and out of that bead, and then back up, and I'm just going to reinforce everything. Just going to go ahead and go through everything. There we go. Trying to get things to sit in the center as I do this. Move my split ring around so I don't get caught on it. There we go. And I just want to make sure when I end up that I'm coming through that very first 11/0 seed bead and pearl. I'm going to search for the very last seed bead at the top of my right angle weave that doesn't have any thread coming in or out. There we go. Here's the last one. Then I'm going to go through again and reinforce everything. There we go. Move this out of my way so I don't get tangled on it as I reinforce everything. And I just want to make sure that I end by going through there. That first 11-0 and pearl again. And now I'm going to look for the seed bead that just has a thread on one side. And that's actually this one. There you go. And that will help your pearl sit in the center. Now you can go through that and reinforce it a few more times if you want. You just want to be careful that you go to the opposite side as you go in and out to help make sure you're not pulling over one side of the cubic right angle weave over here. You want it to sit in the center. Alright, once you're done with that, go ahead, weave in and out, do I would say 3 or 4 half knots, and then you can go ahead and end your thread. And do the same thing on the opposite side.